What it do, folks? It's your boy Charles Younger here on Maryland Live at the Voice of College Football. As always, I am joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Professor G, the OG, the MLB OG, Mark Gray.
HBCU OG, just the OG now.
That's straight OG. It's the
Yeah,
OG.
straight OG. Too many of them around though, so we just got to specify what side of the
Yeah.
street we on.
All right. So what's good with you, Mark? How's things going?
It will never not be a good week,
Mm.
at least for the next 4 years, because my beloved Chelsea Football Club is now world champs. Let me just tell you, in the pantheon of my fandom. But I'm really looking forward to this interesting college football season, Chuck. And as we start moving towards the start of camp and a Big Ten Media Day coming up, I've been watching a lot of these Big Ten Media Days, bro. First off, and I've covered them too, so I've covered them on all levels. Never is there more energy in a sports event than there is at Media Day. Even the teams you don't give anybody a chance, they come in extolling the virtues of what the hope is for the future. So, I looked at the SEC. I think the SEC and the ACC were this week. I didn't see a whole lot of the ACC. I didn't see a lot of the SEC. But depending on who you talk to, there's a riff or a different philosophy as it relates to moving forward with the college football playoffs. And why do I bring that up here is because Maryland's a Big Ten school. Big Ten and SEC traditionally, with Notre Dame as the ultimate independent now, pretty much control the direction of the college football national championship and who's going to get in. And it's going to be interesting to see of how these well-trained, athletic, administrative, business minds are able to come together with a format that probably revisits the way that we look at college football postseason once they go to a 16-team tournament. Because you and I both know that the more tournaments more teams in the tournament bring more markets, more money. Remember that Damon Wayans back in the day, more money, more money, more money. That's basically what's going on here. So I'm really interested in seeing the landscape and the infrastructure. And as it relates to a team like Maryland, who would have to clearly, looking at this year, being a Cinderella place, I would tend to believe that the Maryland officials would want to have as many opportunities for you to get more teams in, because certainly looking at this year's schedule, Chuck, it could be a lot worse. I mean, when you consider the teams that they don't have to face on the schedule, I don't want to put the pressure on anybody, but I mean, I could see a Cinderella type run if things fall place. First, you stay healthy, you get better in the trenches, you protect the football, and you make enough explosive plays with the creativity of the offense that I expect them to have under Pep Hamilton's tutelage. The format really kind of stood out to me amongst all the conversations I saw this week.
Yes, for those the uninitiated, there's Big Ten Media Week. It does start this week as a 3-day session. The first day is Tuesday, July 22nd. That day will be Illinois, Rutgers, Indiana, Maryland, Nebraska, and Ohio State. Day 2 is Wednesday, July 23rd. Will be Minnesota, Northwestern, Wisconsin, Oregon, Washington State, and Penn State. And day 3 will be July the 24th, Thursday, or Iowa, Purdue, UCLA, Michigan State, SC, and Michigan will be all attending Media Day. And when it comes in terms of Maryland, Coach Loxley, who's entering his 7th year, will be there. And players that will be there will be defensive back Jalen Husky, who I got to talk to at the spring practice a few months ago, linebacker Daniel Wingate, and offensive lineman Isaiah Wright.
Hey, let me jump in right there, bro, because I had a conversation with Daniel Wingate. And we look to have him on the podcast hopefully next week, my health permitting, but that's a topic for another story. I will say this. That kid is the personification of what you hope Maryland is going to be a success at. The This is a kid that is a Maryland kid. This is a kid that one of my good friends coached up through youth leagues. So comes from a tremendous family. This is the type of player that if they succeed as a team and he's able to succeed as a player, and everybody's family and whatnot is going to have a difference of what success truly is. Is it getting your degree? Is it get NIL money? Whatever it is, whatever it is. But I'm just saying that the relationship and his success kind of personifies the type of kid that the Terps are going to need to establish themselves with by keeping kids at home. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping kids at home who are phenomenally talented, of high character, and he strikes he checks all those boxes. So I say that the best thing about a freshman is that they become a sophomore because you got the whole season under you, right? So the future's not now at Maryland, but if you look at their schedule, Chuck, it is giving them a break this year, you know? I mean, you got some heavy hitters that you don't have to navigate through. And then you got a couple of teams, including their homecoming matchup, that's enticing because as you and I, well, as I floated, you know, I think Maryland's program can look up to Indiana now and say that could be us, which is shocking to have said that because you wanted to be Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, whatever before then. But now when you see them catch lightning in a bottle, so to speak, and make an enormous run, which helped their brand, marketing, visibility, and so forth, interesting homecoming matchup in College Park, man. I can't wait to see that one myself.
Yeah, November 1st is going to be a huge game, but we'll get more into the schedule a little bit later. But I want to talk about more about Wingate, how this kid is, like you said, a local kid from Bowie, 6'5", 230 linebacker who had a breakout year his sophomore year, consisting of 30 solo tackles, 20 assists, 50 total tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss. He's going to be called upon to be one of the leaders in that defense, a defense that was shredded consistently last year by giving up points after points after points.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're going to be playing some big schools out there. Y'all say we're not playing the heavy hitters, we're not playing the champs this year. We got to buy this year, but we don't end up playing Penn State, but we still have, like I said, we still have homecoming against Indiana. We still have playing in Ford Field at the end of the season against Michigan State. Michigan's coming to College Park. You know, we got Washington coming to College Park. You know, going out to Madison. You know, there's no days off in the Big Ten.
So no, they're not.
You know I mean, even Rutgers has
you're right.
Who smoked us last year, by the way, for those who don't really think oh, it's just Rutgers. No, Rutgers beat us 31-17 last year, and it wasn't even that close according to the scoreboard. So,
right.
You know, those boys in Jersey can play. So,
you know, and you made a very good point. The boys in Jersey play, and they're staying at home, and I think that's what represents. And you look at the interest by Maryland staff, and they come in thinking they got to close the doors for the great prospects to leave out. And I think this is one of those schedules that if they can, you know, there are a couple of pelts on the schedule, and like you said, we'll get into a little bit later on that I think they can get at home. That will say if they get to 9, let's say they get to 9 wins, I think they would be flirting with an opportunity to at least be considered. I don't know how they look at. I think they're dealing with quad 1 and all that kind of stuff. So there's so many statistical variables. But when you start looking at dark horse teams, you solidify the quarterback, get better defensively, and you run the football, which is what Maryland's goals are. I gotta believe they got a shot to, you know, at least play with anybody in the conference. You know, you got the 2 or 3, 4 plays that you make during the course of any game that determines their game. But I think they can play close, and I think that's one of the that's what slyly gives me a little bit of confidence. You know, for them to make a run beyond the standard of last year.
Yeah, I remember you saying something earlier about expanding the playoff. As we all know, every other level of college sports has some form of playoff, except for recently now as Division One FBS, and now they might want to follow the model of the FCS, formerly known as Division One AA, their model. I'm gonna bring it up here on the screen here for everybody to take a look. This is last year's tournament bracket, won by the Alabama of this level, North Dakota State, who was a 2 seed, dominating again because they're lucky because James Madison no longer in FCS. That's why they got the title again. But as you can see, I'm gonna scroll down for everybody to look at here. They do have a very NC2A basketball style
Yeah.
bracket here, where you have, let's say, it's 8 at-large games,
Mm-hmm.
and then the top 8 seeds get the first round bye, and then obviously the winner of the games, you move on, you move on, you move on. And people think it might dilute the level of competition, but if you look at the final, it was 1 versus 2,
Right.
and it usually happens every year. 1 versus 2 always somehow makes it. Now I understand that the level of competition between in FBS, even some of the worst teams might be able to upset a higher seed, unlike in
Right.
FBS, but you never know. What's it old Herman would always say? You play to win the game. You
You
know,
play to
just
win the
do it.
game. Yes.
And
Yeah.
and if you
And,
just
and in order to beat the best, be the best,
yeah
you got to beat the best. I
yeah,
mean, let,
they should always say to be the man, you got
you
to
got
beat
to
the
beat a
man.
man. That's right.
And it's like if Maryland can just get in. We see it in the NCAA tournament all the time in basketball. The 5-12 matchup.
Yeah.
Anything can happen once you
Exactly.
get in. If you just get in, and some team might overlook you, might think, oh, we should have, or how Alabama stood up the joint because they weren't in the college football playoff. They got smoked by in their bowl game. So anything can happen once you get in, once you let the players get in the game and give them an opportunity to compete.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Alabama because I'm salty with Nick Saban now. I mean, look, you retired. Now you're trying to work on a system that's anti the kids, right? After you benefited, Nick Saban is to me now looking like a hypocrite. All right, you going out there lobbying and trying to put clamps around how much NIL money kids were working with the president on, like legislation and coming up justice. My thing is this: when you was down there and your boosters was paying big loot, right? It was cool for you to have the best teams in America. Now you don't want the kids to benefit. What is that? To me, he been living in Alabama too long, but that's a topic for another conversation.
Well, didn't he have in his contract where he was guaranteed to be the highest paid coach no matter what? Like, say someone new got a extension, and he's like, "Oh, my contract gets a boost." So maybe that's just a rumor I heard. I'm not sure, but Nick said, and I've been beating this horse forever about how coaches can do what the hell they want.
Mm-hmm.
What's my boy's name at SC who left OU? Lincoln Riley.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's like, how much over here? But
Yeah.
then when the players do it, it's like, oh, this is getting out of control. They got to rein them in. This is unacceptable. It's like,
Well,
yeah,
now,
you missed me with that mess.
in all fairness, I'm not necessarily comfortable with free agency in college sports. You know what I'm saying? But there's got to be a balance between this extreme. On either side, you got and again, if I'm a parent and I've made a significant financial investment into my child's college education or athletic prowess, yeah, I want them to, because in a perfect world, families, my theory has not been proven yet, but you spend $25,000 to $30,000 on your child's growth and development as an athlete, and it earns them a college scholarship and $250 million in NIL money. You've served your purpose, right? I mean, you've done what you're supposed to do. So how do you max out on that? Because I don't know about you, Chuck. If you get that type of money and you're smart with your investments, you're set for life at 23. Let's just frame that narrative like it is right now. Because think about it. What's the first step in generational wealth? Buy yourself a house. Hey, you can pay cash money on a house. Got it. Get yourself a car, 3-4 years, boom. When it's time for you to roll, even if it doesn't make you don't make pro, you still got equity coming in. So I want a lot of people to start thinking about it. I appreciate and respect the amount of money that parents are putting in to make sure world-class type athletes develop in whatever sport that they're interested in. But I think we also got to step back and not get intoxicated by the celebrity that goes with the success of your child and start coming up with a real life game plan. And as we see, it's about generational wealth. I think the colleges are trying to educate those kids on student athletes. But the notion to have somebody who greatly benefited from that bad system and became the arguably all-time greatest college football coach ever. To me, Nick Saban's nothing more than a hypocrite, and he needs to save his policy statements for game day as opposed to trying to influence what's going on with the future of college sports on Capitol Hill. Hell, if he wants to do that, then become president of the NCAA.
I don't want to say I want to bring race into it, but I'm going to bring race into it. When young black kids have the opportunity to make generational wealth, there's always some old crutchy white man who has to jump in there and say, well, I don't know if this is the right thing to do. This is getting out of hand. These kids, or I'll go back to, like, for example, Reggie
Somebody's
Bush.
got more money than me. You can't have any more money than me. I coached in the footsteps of Bear Bryant.
Coaches have 10, 20, 30 years to make that money. These kids at best have 4 years to make money if they don't go pro.
Right.
At best. So, like I said, missing with that mess, these and your boy Feinbaum, who's speaking out of turn about boy Cam. He just seems to be like, I'm gonna leave it at that one alone for another day, because I got a lot of things I want to say about that. Might get pulled off YouTube.
and forgive me, man. I when I hear Saban basically meddling, I mean, really? And I'll leave it there. But there's something there's something really tyrannical about his approach here that really has me unsettled. It's like, you ever leave a aspirin on your tongue too long? It's a real nasty taste. Gets all the way down in your throat. That's how I feel about Saban and his actions toward either you're gonna be a journalist or a policymaker. Mm-hmm. That's it. Yeah. And when Saban, and I'm gonna tell you something. When I hear analysts talk who actually make sense about the college football and college sports landscapes, the one guy that I trust the most is Jay Billis. If you listen to his philosophy on treating student athletes, he approaches it not only from an athlete, but from a scholarly and understanding the program. He's the one that has made the most sense of anybody as it relates to reform and intercollegiate athletics. I'd love to see those two ESPN heads get together, have some kind of legitimate understanding, because I think that would be the perfect team for college sports, y'all. Saban wants to represent the coaches in the establishment. Billis wants to represent the players and the schools. And in the middle there is a legitimate fix. So I don't mean to be doing the work for the college football playoff committee, but if those two minds can get together and come out with a philosophy, I think it would fix the whole deal. And I think it would do more than the NCAA has ever done to make everything fair and equitable to students, coaches, and institutions.
That's all we want. We want equity and equality. It's like, if you can make the money, I can make the money. Right. Mm-hmm. I feel we are not in the right job. We should be the ones running this, not these talking heads on ESPN and Fox Sports. Oh wait, who's left on Fox Sports? No one's left on Fox Sports. So
is there a Fox Sports?
Allegedly. I mean, it's still technically a channel.
Oh, but as long as they don't get rid of the Big Ten.
Oh yeah, no, they still have the Big Ten. That's still their money maker. But when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about that Maryland schedule and what we think is going to happen with this. I wouldn't say easy schedule, because there's no easy games. There's no days off in the Big Ten, but a less stressful schedule than last year. Right after this,
you can make a difference here at the Voice of College Football. Use the Amazon link. Financially contribute to the Voice of College Football without spending a penny. Same shopping experience. It's easy. Go to any video on any channel. Go to the description section and grab the link right next to the capital letters that say Amazon. Use that link, and Amazon will instantaneously convert to your account, settings, history, everything intact, just like whatever link you use right now. No difference. Pay no attention to the product that you see right there. Just go search what you want. Don't forget the Amazon link. Thank you for your support. Sincerely, the voice of college football.
I repeat, support the voice of college football. We have great content across all of our channels. A lot of schools, a lot of colleges, Michigan, LSU, Ohio State, Nebraska. We have so many great guys out there who are putting in the work to cover college football and let their fans know everything they know about their team. But while you're here with us, we're rolling about the University of Maryland. The Terps.
No, I was just going to say, it's interesting how the dynamic of one who's covered the SEC is now in the throes of the Big Ten. It's same stuff, different towns, and the temperatures are warmer down south.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean the games ain't hot in Ann Arbor.
Chicago, Ann Arbor.
Oh man,
Lansing.
Right.
Yeah.
Iowa,
Exactly.
Des Moines, I guess. Is it?
Des Moines, Eugene. Yeah.
Couple spots in Indiana. So
yeah.
I mean, but the passion is the same, and that's what makes college football great, bro. The fact that it's good old fashioned hate everywhere. You do not like anybody in your conference, but you will pull for them when they're playing somebody outside of the conference. And that's a fan.
Exactly. I put it this way: I will root for whoever in the Big Ten is playing Alabama. I'm definitely rooting for that Big Ten team. The national championship, I was like, I feel so dirty rooting for Ohio State, but I kind of had to. I had to take a shower after that game. It's like, make it stop. But moving
no vaccine needed though, right?
No, I already got my shots though. I'm good on that one. 4 jabs and I'm good to go. But like I said, we are going to talk a little bit about the season coming up here for the University of Maryland Terrapins. Like I said, we said earlier, they do not have to play Ohio State or Penn State. Do not have to play Oregon, because if you look at the schedule last year, oh my goodness, it was not pretty. Because
no, I wasn't.
I want to share last year's schedule and show you how, and we'll compare it to this year's schedule and see where we might see some improvements, might see some aggression, or we might just see, hey, this status quo, stay, keep the ship afloat. So let's go with here. Let me look at last year's schedule and bring it up here. I remember watching this game because I was at work that day. It was a lovely brunch at my restaurant at Chadwick's, and the Maryland started off the season hot, blowing out UConn 50-7. And I was like, okay. I mean, UConn is not a football powerhouse, but they're still a Division I school who can probably beat some teams if they had the right personnel. Then they followed up with a complete.
First off, Dan Orlovsky ain't walking through that door, but that's a topic for another show.
Then a complete choke job against Michigan State. I remember they were up double digits in this game, and somehow lost by 3 to Michigan State, who went on to have a subpar year. Bounced back against Virginia, across a former conference rival, Virginia, but now no longer in the ACC. Virginia has not been great since. I can't remember. I mean, I would say, I mean, they made a bowl game not too long ago, but they have not been the same UVA of my youth, of the Barbers, Thomas Jones, Andy Poindexter, James Ferrier, those guys like that who were just, when they were just producing NFL talent players all the time, UVA, but now not so much.
Well, you know something? It's funny that you mentioned that, because same thing happened at Virginia Tech. Remember when they had everything on the lockdown and everything was clutching, when you get into Michael Vicks and all those players that were coming out during that time? And what happened? It just dried up. So we know that there's still good players in Tidewater and places throughout Virginia. They just don't seem to be able to get them no more. Or the landscape and the expense of the game has gone a little bit beyond what they can afford, because I remember Virginia's program used to be good all the way around. And I'm old enough to remember Al Sampson and the boys. I remember when Rick Carlisle was playing there. Okay, that's how old I am. So sad to see it happen, but I'll always respect Kevin Anderson for moving Maryland out of the ACC. That was the best move ever. It is aging like fine wine. As for the ACC, I don't know.
ACC is a singing ship. I'm gonna leave it at this. Have you ever been to Blacksburg?
No. I heard it's a great atmosphere though.
I mean, the game time atmosphere is great, but that's it.
Right.
There's nothing. There's. I mean, if you like camping and meeting out in the mountains, which I do, it's great and all, but that's not something you can do every day. But moving on. What blew my mind here is losing to Villanova.
Yeah, that was unacceptable.
Yeah, I'm sorry, beating Villanova 30-20, which is actually pretty good. The team we've been talking about every episode.
Indiana.
Doing this. Indiana came out and the game was not as close as that 42-28 scores is. We kind of scored a couple of late garbage time touchdowns just to make it look respectful, and then Northwestern dog walking us 37-10.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned. I'm glad you brought those two games up from last year because I was interested just as I am this season because remember the bluster that Signetti came in. I was like, oh, all right. Well, if he comes to Maryland and gets a lesson, it will humble him. And I think that Maryland game right there was the one that let them know, oh, all right, we got this. And once they got that momentum and that confidence, and it was fueled by a fiery personality in that coach, they had a lot of confidence. They're going to have confidence again this year. I just think Maryland will be better able offensively to scheme against their speed. And I think they've added enough speed. Big game on the schedule, bro. Big game. Can't wait to see that.
And then a primetime game at home, College Park, homecoming game. Again, I wanted to go to this game, but I couldn't. I was at the bar, but I made sure it was on TV when I was working because people were asking, "Can I get this game?" Like, no. We are watching SC Maryland on the big screen. But yeah, a great game. It came out in the wire, 29-28. I was so nervous that game. It was like,
I bet you
were. They're gonna blow it. They're gonna blow it because like it was so good. But it's so good. They held on. It's like and then we proceeded to like buy shots for everybody at the bar. It's like, you get a shot, you get a shot, you get a shot. But
you know what happened, Chuck? Teams that are building towards taking that next step have moments where you see it happen. And I think Indiana, when they made their run last year, this was one of those games early in the season. We're better than we think we are. Our coach said it. Now we believe, and then they start picking up more pelts. I'm hoping that is the case with the Terps this year. You know, you get that one signature game that just kind of lets everybody in the world know that you're that good and build off the momentum there. Momentum's such a big thing in sports. I don't think people appreciate it enough because you can't see it. You can't feel it. You can't feel it if you know what you're feeling for. But, you know, there's a sense that something dramatic is changing in the moment. And we felt that with Indiana. I think Maryland has enough talent to do that this year. I just hope it comes together.
Yeah, it's funny you say momentum because you would think, okay, after a bounce back win, after losing Northwestern, bouncing back to beat UC, it's like, okay, Maryland has 4 wins. They're not far. They're 2 more wins. They're bowl eligible, but then they proceeded to poop the bed. I want to keep the words clean because I would use a different word.
All right, well, we get it. Yes, we get it.
But Minnesota blown out. Oregon, at the time, no one team in the country. Obviously, I expected to win that game, but blown out. Rutgers, blown out. Iowa, blown out. And then Penn State, once again, dog walkers. So they, after being 4-3, they proceeded to lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games this season and not even look competitive in those games.
Right.
And we're going to talk about one of the biggest reasons why they weren't competitive because they did not have to play under center at the quarterback. But coming up soon, we'll talk about that situation moving on with the 3 quarterbacks they have in the quarterback room right now. But yeah, you look at these guys. We're going to be playing some of these teams again this year as we're going to go to the 2025 set schedule.
Okay.
Opening with FAU Northern Illinois, and Towson, which like I say, you should never overlook any team in any game, but
Right.
that should be a good start for the season. But playing any Florida school, that team's gonna come with some speed.
Yes.
FU didn't have a great year last year, but they're trying to say, hey, they're trying to build this program too. They're trying to say, hey, come play with us because we are a Florida. If you can't go to Miami, which you can't go to
Right.
Florida State,
Central
you can't
Florida,
go to
something like
Florida.
that.
Yeah, come to FEU because FEU has they got some ballers down there. So FAU, Northern Illinois, and a local rival in Towson, who Towson is in the. I think are they still in the
Colonial,
Colonial? Yeah,
I
I think
believe
so.
they are. But
Yeah.
I will say this: Towson's always well prepared.
Mm.
They have a few. I'm not going to say studs, but undercover stud type of players. Maryland can't take Towson lightly. I know there's sometimes a look down on a lower opponent.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't come out with their head on a swivel in that contest, bro, it could be pretty tight. And one thing about it, when you're a team like Maryland, you're young, haven't had a whole lot of success. That's the kind of game that could rattle your cage a little bit. So it's really important, I think, not only that most important, they win the game to feel good about themselves. Secondarily, to control that game. Because if you can control that game, what I say by control it, well, you might only win by 7-10 points, and it might be a cosmetic victory, but you dominated the game. And you can, so that's the kind of thing I'm looking for against Florida Atlantic and Towson. I'm not going, and I don't take anybody for granted, but I think that they would have a chance if they play their A game to have a great deal of success with Towson. Because Towson, let's say FAU is a cut above. Towson is still, what do we call it, FBS or FCS?
Yes, FCS, yes.
FCS, right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a season, and I think the great Eddie Robinson, former coach of Grambling, once told me the only certainties in life are uncertainties. And here we go. We got a season of promise, but it's certainly uncertain.
It's interesting to know the fact that the game is on Peacock, so I'm not sure if it's going to be able, because we had issues at my bar to show games that are on like the streaming services because there's contracts, whatever. It can't show certain things, which is annoying because like if you can't go to your local pub, have a
Watch
pint
the game
and watch your game, that's bad for culture. But that's another discussion I've been steaming on for the past 3-4 years as I'm trying to find a game on TV for a customer to watch. Like, oh, it's on that streaming service. I can't bring it up for you. But
right.
Moving on to the actual heart of the schedule, the meat of the schedule, no potatoes here. Opening the Big Ten play in Madison against Wisconsin. Now, this is not your dad's Wisconsin with my name escaping me all of a sudden. The head coach back in the day, who was always putting that team in big bowl games. Rich Alvarez, the head coach of Wisconsin, back Alvarez. So he, Ron Dane is not coming through that door anytime soon.
I don't think Melvin Gordon's got any more eligibility either.
Melvin Gordon's not there anymore. Yeah. So, Wisconsin is still one of your traditional Big Ten schools. Big Ten powers. Who always produce big fellas in the trenches who can maul you to death. And this is what I think is going to be a great first step for Maryland to say, hey, can we handle Big Ten size in the trenches when it comes to who not being pushed around by offensive lineman, defensive lineman from the other squad?
That's going to be the 100-pound question.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And to your point, question. Certain conferences built on speed, other conferences built on physicality. Big Ten, SEC, probably right now, maybe the Big 12, if you will.
Big 12 all speed. Big 12 is all gas, no brakes.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to think right now. All things considered, Maryland, that's where Maryland got to get tougher. They got to get beefier. They got to get harder, for lack of a better term. And then they got to get depth. It's a long football season. Guys wear down. if you don't have depth in the trenches, but you also you just have to have depth at that line. It's murderer's row right now. Nobody's going to come through unscathed. There's going to be injuries. That second and third player has to be no worse than a purple colored player. You got your red chips, you got your blue chips, but somewhere in the middle, there's a player, and those guys are going to be the ones that step up. Those are the difference makers in this thing.
That's true. And then moving on to Washington, which family weekend, home at College Park. At Washington has been one of those, while they were still in the Pac-10, 12, whatever you want to call it, it's always a 8, 9, 10 win team. No more Michael Penix Jr. He's been gone for a year, but they still are always in that.
I don't think Warren Moon's going to be walking through that door either.
No. But that's going to be how Wisconsin's going to challenge us physically with the, down in the trenches. Washington's going to challenge us with speed because they've produced several receivers who play in the NFL right now. And how can our DBs keep speed up with them? How can our receivers make separation against their DBs? How can that quarterback get them the ball? So Washington, first home game against a Big Ten opponent, that's going to be a statement, and that could be, if you think about it, if they start 5-0. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot less pressure on them down the stretch when they get against the couple of the big boys, which we'll get to down in a little bit later here in this segment. But what do you thought about bringing Washington into College Park, and then right there after Washington, we're bringing in Nebraska as well.
Well, I will say from Washington's standpoint, remember they're in Seattle. That's a hell of a long trip, bro. And when you're the home team, you got to get that pelt. It's harder for, and any coach will tell you this, Chuck, it's harder for West Coast teams, Western time zone teams, to play coming east than it is for Eastern time zone teams to play out west on every sport. That's why you look at baseball. That's why they get a day off between the West Coast road trip. If you on the East Coast, say New York, Baltimore, and you finish in LA, chances are you're going to get the next day off so you can get back into the time zone. That's a big, big win. And I think that these are other mitigating factors that go into constructing your roster. And when you know that you got a coast-to-coast schedule, those are tough games to win. And coaches always want to throw out the variables and intangibles. That's a fact, though. You know what I'm saying? You flown out to the West Coast. It takes a minute to recover, much less after playing a hard-nosed physical football game, So just a point that there is some concern about, from what I hear, the resources as far as traveling were concerned inside the program. My question would be, I don't see how that is, because I don't see why the conferences aren't like pros and have all charter aircraft with a sponsorship that you could give somebody and relentlessly roll television or advertising and all kinds of advertising on the websites, the channels and what have you. I don't know if that's something that the new powers that be in Maryland's what appears to be innovative athletic administration can do about that. You don't want to end up with another situation like where the former basketball coach, whose name shall be, silent because he's taking shots, even though he got a gig in life. But that seemed to be one of the concerns that he had. So I think you get a little bit more vision, a little bit money into your program, it changes some things. We know Oregon has it. He'll make sure his athletes are taken care of.
It's funny you said earlier about it's easier going east to west versus west to east. But we're going out west to UCLA. We're playing in the Coliseum.
That's great.
Wow, that's great. That's big time. What's that? 100,000+ seats out there?
They playing in the Coliseum, or are they playing in because I thought SC played in the Coliseum and UCLA plays in the Rose Bowl.
You might be right. I always get this confused sometimes. I can't forget which one's which, but you might be right. It's the Rose Bowl, yeah. UCLA. I mean, that's going to be. UCLA is also having a little identity crisis, a little rebuild. They have a new coach that took over Deshaun Foster finished his first season last year, and how is their rebranding, rebuilding going to impede our rebranding, rebuilding when it comes to like playing out there in LA?
I mean, they're facing the same perils that just about all public institutions face. They part of the California University system. They're tethered to, the systems of Cal and all that. So it's supposed to be equitable inside, their little area and inside that state. But when you got both those teams, well, UCLA in this case, who's pretty much a state-funded school, they are operating at a financial disadvantage. And when you look at Oregon with its private sector contributions and some other teams, it makes them, and you notice stuff like that in travel and amenities. Okay. That does play out late in the season. And those cross-country games. I mean, think about it. UCLA comes in the middle of October, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they still gonna have roughly half a season left to recover from, and I don't know if they have a bye week or not. See, therein lies the ultimate dilemma when you start increasing the number of games, the physical toll that it's taking on players. Teams with the money will have a second and third or fourth string guy that can step up. Teams who don't have that NIL money will be, well, we got maybe two in a possible. So if somebody has a sprained knee and then the backup goes out for the season, where do you go from there? So there are layers to it. But again, when you get the break off of being a conference in the college football playoffs, you gotta take your share and spend it wisely.
Well, luckily for Maryland, they do have that bye week because they don't have to play again until November 1st. And this is the game that we've been talking about, homecoming against the Hoosiers in College Park. It's going to be
Can't wait.
It's a time. It's been TBA, so it looks like it's probably flex scheduled. Timing wise, because looks like a lot.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I'll say this. When you're programming as a network, Chuck, and they say time to be determined, that's a fashion way of saying is, if this game means anything, it'll be on the tube. Okay, because God forbid the bottom falls out for either team. It's not really an attractive media matchup. So you want both teams. So, I tell you what, I'm anxious to see if Indiana can duplicate what they did last year. That was one of the most impressive seasons in college football that I've seen in my, 45 years of understanding what's going on in that landscape. So Indiana at Maryland, November 1st. Yeah, I kind of like that.
Yeah, because Indiana ran undefeated until they dropped to Notre Dame, which, and if you look at some of the teams they played last year, they played FIU. They smoked them. They smoked Western Illinois. They beat down UCLA. They didn't just squeak out victories.
No, they did not.
No, I mean, check this out. Okay, FIU 31-7. Western Illinois 77-3. At UCLA 42-13 against Charlotte, which is probably the weakest game of their schedule, 52-14.
But that goes to my point about going all the way to the West Coast and then coming back to the East, right?
Yes. Smoked us at Maryland. Smoked in Bloomingdale 42-28. They destroyed Northwestern 41-24. They mollywopped Nebraska 56-7. Washington, a very good team, 31-17. Michigan State, who had a subpar year last year, 47-10. Michigan, who were the defending champions, they beat them 20-15. I'm sorry, they did lose to Ohio State. I'm sorry, I missed that one. But that's because Ohio State ended up being the national champions, 38-15. Then they closed their regular season against Purdue 66-0. And then losing to Notre Dame 27-17.
I think that was a personal game, bro.
Yeah, they're like, we gotta right this ship immediately.
Yeah, man. They were that. You ever heard of the Get Back game?
That was there. They got back.
That was the Get Back game.
But yeah,
it was like years of purging the beatdowns from. They was like, we got to serve you. And speaking as a college football fan now, All right, one who always wants to see the best matchups, particularly if they're in-state rivals. I will say this because I'm a big fan of Marcus. Oh my God, the coach at Notre Dame,
Freeman.
Marcus Freeman. Yeah, I was about to call him Marcus Randall. Marcus Freeman, right? Hey, him and Signetti got to play an Indiana game. The place where, what are they called? It's not the Hoosier Dome, but where the Colts play.
Lucas Oil Field.
I'd love to see Notre Dame and Indiana in that game. Especially if Indiana really continues their rise in the college football players to get to the elite, I think that would be a good game for a good football state, and I think it would be good for college football to have a Big Ten team from that state against Notre Dame. I hate to do the work for you, Big Ten, but let's make that happen.
No doubt, no doubt. And like I said, we're going back to Indiana. Homecoming against Indiana, against a team who I believe Maryland could be Indiana this year, and that's going to be, like I said, another huge milestone for the Maryland program this year.
But the week after that, Chuck, and I know I didn't mean to cut you off because I know you're going to go into Rutgers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you got to find a way to get that. That is a thorn in the from a regional standpoint. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Maryland used to be able to go into Jersey and get good Jersey players, good Jersey players who want to understand in Jersey. It's cooler down here in Maryland. We all know that, but still, you gotta win those games because Maryland used to have a fertile track record of getting players from New Jersey on up into Long Island. See Boomer Esiason, right? It's gone. And you can win with players who come from that area. And I think Pep knows that. I think the new recruiting staff knows that. And I think the mandate will probably come down from the athletic administrators after they've had a chance to do their assessment at the end of the season. So before we get too far out there judging pass, fail, success rate, we got to be mindful of, in many respects, the program is still in transition. You got new assistants, new upper level administration. I'm not making any excuses. I'm just saying there could be reasons that don't lead to the ultimate kind of success that a lot of people in the area are hoping for.
True. And like I said, that game, if Maryland beats Indiana at homecoming, that's a trap game too. There's those two trap games because then you have coming up after Rutgers and Illinois, you have Michigan coming to town for Military Appreciation Night, and then you close the season in Detroit in Ford Field, home of the Detroit Lions. On the Big Ten, season finale against a team that you should have beat last year because you had a game in control, you had a game in hand, and you let it slip away. So the last 4 games of the season are unlike last year where they lost those games. They can somehow, at worst, split those last 4 games to where they can end the season being a 7, 8, 9 win team.
All right. Bowl eligible at the least.
Bowl eligible at least. Outside shot at the college football playoff. So, and imagine playing in these are some big stadiums that we're playing. They're playing at UCLA, big 100,000 seat stadium, at Ford Field, which is an NFL size stadium.
There are no intimate, friendly confines like our beloved stadium in College Park.
Yeah,
when you go for those, but I mean, University of Washington got a pretty big building. They don't play in the whatever dome they call the dome is out there right now, the newer dome, but they don't play there. They play outdoor in an open air stadium. So, in many respects, they're a lot like University of Minnesota used to be, who I might add, Minnesota is not on the schedule, huh?
No Minnesota this year. No Minnesota, no Ohio State, no Penn State. We have our 3 big games this season that will determine what Maryland is as a football program, at least this season. And they don't have to win all 3, but they definitely have to have a great showing to say, hey, we are on the rise. And that is Washington for Family Weekend, Indiana for homecoming, and Michigan for Military Appreciation Day. Those are those 3 home games, and plus fans got to show up and show out because you got to fill that stadium. You cannot let the visiting teams
You're right.
bring their fans. That should be sell out. And Maryland's PR department, Maryland's athletic department, all those people who do all your promotions say, hey, you gotta get butts and seats who want butts and seats.
Yeah, but I think the biggest cure to getting butts and seats, Chuck, is winning big games.
Yeah, yes.
You know, it's a little bit more sophisticated and scrutinizing fan base in the Big Ten. SEC fan is driven by passion. I hate Scam Newton, Paul. I hate Scam Newton. He is a scam, so I poisoned his tree. You know, that's how they you know what I'm saying? They're gonna ride or die and do something ignorant. Maryland's football program is a plan that you have to look at from the terms of, if you lose, is it a bad loss? Because there were a lot of bad losses last year, Chuck, that just kept snowballing and snowballing and snowballing like the discontent. And I know some of the former players that I'm still really, really cool with were scratching their head, to say the least. They were heated about a few things. So we got to look at not only quality victories, but tragic losses.
Yes.
And look down at the schedule and think, when we do our postseason recap at some point, this was a pelt that got us, this was a pelt that got away. Or if you start collecting them, you know, with the break in the schedule, a lot less potholes, which does not mean there aren't any, because this conference is just murderer's row. They ain't got to, it is, man. And you can see moving forward, probably for the next 5 years, until everybody gets their arms wrapped around NIL and all that stuff. Big Ten SEC, pretty much without a few Cinderella teams, like what was that, Boise State last year with Ashton Genty. You come out there, something like that. You don't have those, but you know, for the most part, when you start looking at the playoff, because that's the ultimate goal, right? You want to make your fan base believe. Well, first off, you got to give them the expectation and belief and hope. And what I'm trying to convince our fans are that Maryland is not lacking any of the resources to get to that next level. They just have to do it on the field to get more butts and seats. And if you can create a home field advantage, that would be big. And I know, for one, it's really disheartening to see more of the other team's colors in your stadium than you do of yours. I'm not used to that. I mean, that would never happen in University of Georgia. It wouldn't happen at LSU. It wouldn't happen at University of Florida. It wouldn't happen in Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State. I mean, we got to put demands by being passionate fans and buying season tickets, demanding excellence, and showing up and showing out at the games. We got to create, Maryland has to create a home field advantage of some sort. Now, to your point about the PR people and the promotions folks, there are people in departments who are paid to make, you know, it's kind of like me growing up as a University of Miami fan. They had Sebastian Obvious. He'd throw the smoke in the air and they come running out. We need a tradition like that of some sort. I want to see the same kind of, and here's the deal, Chuck. You ever heard about football programs or at football schools, and then basketball programs at basketball schools? Maryland's in a unique position to be like Michigan. We can be good in both. No, Ohio State, they dropped off in basketball, be good at both. Indiana, who knew that the Hoosiers football team was going to eclipse the basketball team here recently? It's the sports landscape is pretty much off its axis. If you get to the college football playoffs and you make a deep run in a tournament, that stays as a part of your legend. You know, it's like we will forever remember Derek Queen and Juju Reese's team as the Crab Five, right? Who's going to be what team is going to be the football program that we remember? You know what I'm saying? And the time is now if you really want to be a player in this thing.
Crab cakes and football. That's what Maryland does.
Okay. You know,
And so I remember you saying earlier about some bad losses last year. When we're going to come back, I want to talk about the biggest reason why we had some of those bad losses because to play under center. So when we come back, we're going to take a little bit about the quarterback battle, and then we're going to talk about a little bit more what's going on in Maryland football right after
You
this.
can make a difference here at the Voice of College Football. Use the Amazon link. Financially contribute to the Voice of College Football without spending a penny. Same shopping experience. It's easy. Go to any video on any channel. Go to the description section and grab the link right next to the capital letters that say Amazon. Use that link, and Amazon will instantaneously convert to your account, settings, history, everything intact, just like whatever link you use right now. No difference. Pay no attention to the product that you see right there. Just go search what you want. Don't forget the Amazon link. Thank you for your support. Sincerely, the Voice of College Football.
That's right, folks.
Thank you,
Support
Mark.
the voice of college football. Thank you, Mark. Now, I've been on this trend for a while when it comes to what Maryland needs to do to compete and what any football team it has to do to compete, and that is to play under center at quarterback. Now, last year, after we lost to Leah Tagovailoa, who was not granted his extra year eligibility. We had his name is Casey right now because he played so terribly. I don't want to remember his name. But a quarterback play was quite awful last year, especially going down the stretch. But this year, the Terps have three guys who have a possibility to start the season under center, and that would be Justin Martin, who was a redshirt junior who transferred from UCLA, who only has one career start, but he played decent well. Completed 73% of his passes last year and had a touchdown. We have a uh, redshirt freshman Christian Martin, who was a three-star recruit coming in, and then we have the four-star recruit Malik Washington, who is probably the leader in the clubhouse when it comes to being the guy who's going to take over this team and possibly lead this team to the next 3 to 4 years as the quarterback for the Maryland Terrapins, who turned down some offers from bigger, more powerful, more prominent football powerhouses to come to Maryland. Left the state of Virginia and came over here into to Maryland to play football for Coach Loxley and Pep Hamilton. We all know that the team starts and stops with how well the quarterback plays. I mean, you can have the best O line, you can have the best weapons outside, you can have the best running game, you can have the greatest defense in the world. But if the person who's not calling the shots, who's pulling the trigger, puts the ball in the hands of the people who make the plays, all that's mute. So, Mark, what do you think about the fact that these three kids who have the opportunity to make a name for themselves, they say, they will make themselves famous, like in the words of Billy the Kid from Young Guns, I'll make you famous.
Mm-hmm.
What do these kids need to do to like step up and show the world like, hey, give me the rock. I want to lead this team.
Do we really want to use the Billy the Kid reference? I mean, didn't he get clipped?
Yeah. Well, he died of syphilis though, but that's a different story.
Anyway. Wow. I will say this though. You hear about the term quarterback whisperers and quarterback developers. This is the best trio to work with Maryland's quarterbacks. We saw what Loxley did at Alabama under Saban. Tremendous offense. We know he's got great offensive concepts and is a pretty brilliant, might be too much, but he's a pretty damn good offensive mind. A coordinator understands the big picture. But the difference, I think, this year will be that you have Pep Hamilton and Ted White whispering in the quarterback's ears. Pep's been a head coach. And matter of fact, he was the first coach of the DC Defenders in the XFL. Yes. He's worked for Jim Harbaugh at Stanford. He worked with him with the Colts. And then you bring in Ted White, who's a legend in his own right, who had a pretty darn good college career at Howard University and then went on and spent some time in the NFL. This is an offensive room, right? With concepts, skills development ideas, having had some success. To me, that makes a huge difference. And then ultimately, the players got to, receive the information, digest it, process it, and be able to execute. But I think you got two guys in Hamilton and White. And you may not know much about Ted White. Ted White knows what he's doing. So I think the quarterbacks are going to be straight. It comes down to their intangibles, though. Who can handle the playbook, who can take the shots and then remain consistent in a game, and most important, who takes care of the football. You don't have to force every pass in there. Sometimes take a sack, play for another drive. So I think you're going to see a better cerebral approach by the quarterbacks this year because of the two whispers and Pep Hamilton and Ted White.
Yeah, exactly. It's impressive the fact that you do have a offensive coordinator who has experience calling plays and at the pro level, at the college level, who's Coach Lossley, who's coached several Pro Bowl quarterbacks who are now in the NFL and Tua and Jalen Hurts, etc.
I was going to say one of them just won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly, and that's my quarterback. That's my quarterback.
Don't remind.
Hey. At least
no. Congrats. Cheers to you.
Yeah. But you would say Coach Loxley, Coach Pep, Coach Hamilton. That is a cocktail of like a nice Manhattan.
That's
nice,
a Manhattan. Wow.
Manhattan. Combination of ingredients: slow, stirred, chill,
you proceed with caution with that.
Strained over a big cube. That's what it is. It's gonna be an exquisite Manhattan made with the finest ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what these coaches bring to this staff and these young quarterbacks who can, like I said, possibly just be, the amazing the team that has the best quarterback play usually wins. So
that's true. Now there's no doubt about that. Unless your team is so bad defensively, that they can't win. You know what I'm saying? But yes. I get where you're coming from. You get more efficient at the quarterback position. It makes your entire offense more efficient.
Yes.
And therefore, you can control the game. And if you're a team that's a little light in the butt, as compared to the horses that we got to deal with in this conference every week, you got to manage the game so that the defense doesn't wear out. When you need to get that stop in the fourth quarter to seal the game, you got to do it. And to me, that's my greatest source of concern for Maryland coming in. I think offensively they'll be fine. I think they'll be a more efficient and more explosive offense. I'm just wondering about the stops.
Yeah, and that's probably say that was the biggest issue last year when they couldn't get a stop. The other team scored, and then they fell so far behind they couldn't. And if you don't have some guy who can make those plays with his arm or the weapons outside, they can't make a comeback. They can't get a stop. They can't win games. So that's going to be huge. So before we call it a day, I want to bring over a few small things here about what else is going on in Maryland. Right after this.
You can make a difference here at the Voice of College Football. Use the Amazon link. Financially contribute to the Voice of College Football without spending a penny. Same shopping experience. It's easy. Go to any video on any channel. Go to the description section and grab the link right next to the capital letters that say Amazon. Use that link, and Amazon will instantaneously convert to your account, settings, history, everything intact. Just like whatever link you use right now, no difference. Pay no attention to the product that you see right there. Just go search what you want. Don't forget the Amazon link. Thank you for your support. Sincerely, the Voice of College Football.
And again, thank you for your support for tuning in today for the Voice of College Football Maryland Live Edition. So we always want to give our flowers to those who deserve it, and we always talk football. We want to talk about what's positive in college football here. And this story came up, and I'm kind of interested in, and it looks very cool, is the fact that Ethan Go was selected as the AFCA Good Works Team nominee. Senior long snapper Ethan Go has been named the All-Star AFCA Good Works Teammate nominee. The American Football Coaches Association announced today. The award was established in 1992. Recognizes college football athletes for their unwavering commitment to community service and their good works off the field. So basically, it's just like, hey, this person does good stuff, and he needs to be recognized. Now, long snappers get no love in football. No one knows who the long snapper is, but this kid, Ethan Go, who probably might not play much after this season as he is a senior, deserves his flowers when it comes to being seeing this war. And it's pretty cool because if you look at this picture, who he's with, he's with Danny Werfel, former NFL quarterback, college football Hall of Famer. Remember him from Florida? You know, was it the running gun under Steve Spurrier? In the war. And then the cool thing is this summer, his teammate Daniel Owens partnered with Uplifting Athletes in Maryland for Life to raise money for disease research. Go was a DeMatha high school graduate before coming to Maryland. And he's a long snapper, helped his punter average a 45.1 yard average for punting for Bryce McPherson. Academic All-American, had a 3.804 GPA in criminal justice. So he's in the right, by the way, he's in the right location to apply that degree here in the Washington, D.C. area.
Yeah.
Because there are some people down there in the hill who he needs to investigate. But moving on about that.
No, I wanted to keep it there for a second, right quick, because this is something, since we got a little open platform here. A few years back, you remember the unfortunate and timely passing of Jordan McNair. That hit me close to home because I graduated with his mom from high school. So I know his mom and dad really, really well. And when we start talking about good things that Terp family, Terp Nation is doing, you should really consider supporting the Jordan McNair Foundation. If you remember, the unfortunate circumstance that led to his death was the fact that people didn't have adequate equipment and supplies. So if somebody was going into heat exhaustion, which takes you to the next level, all you had to have was cooling machines, and it ultimately took his life. So it's tough to watch a family fight through their pain to give something back. But if you get a minute, man, check out the Jordan McNair Foundation.org and check out that story, because Maryland's been always on the cutting edge of innovative leadership. I think that what his family is doing through all that heartache and pain is really a wonderful thing, and it's not new, bro. You know what I'm saying? They've been doing it seemed like almost a decade. I remember Tanya hit me on Facebook, said, "I can't wait for you to interview my son when he gets to Maryland." I was like, "I'm right out there." And next thing you know, he was gone. So if you got anything in your heart you want to support the school with, or just support this, because this saves lives of not only Maryland folk, but folks around the country and ultimately around the world.
That's right. The Jordan McNair was a huge story that shocked the campus here at College Park, and hopefully with their work, something like that will never happen again. And if there is an issue with a player who might have the heat exhaustion, coaches won't take the right steps to.
And for that, and real talk, bro, I'm glad you brought that up. Y'all hard head, old school coaches who think that rub some dirt on your cut and all that. Nah, it's a new world order. We got technology that has proven how somebody needs to tap out. You need to let them tap out and don't admonish them, because this ain't 1940, 1950, 1960. It ain't even 1980 anymore. All right? It's not. So y'all old school heads can, but when somebody, especially with the heat, and when it throws of a relentless summer, you're feeling too hot, step off, get something cold, and get out of there. I mean, I'm for real. And that's the one thing that even at this time of the year, you start thinking about what may have been, and I just figured I had to reach out and give them a shout out.
Yeah, you don't have to be a college athlete to realize that too. I was outside the other day just doing some light work, and I was out for maybe 15, 20 minutes, and I
Yeah.
was drenched in sweat. I couldn't finish what I wanted to do outside because it was just too hot. It's 100+ degrees heat index around here in the DMV.
Yes, it
People,
is.
then this weather is no joke. This place, like, don't do it to yourself. Just chill, relax. I make sure I invest in tons of these
Yeah.
water bottles.
Yeah.
I have a water bottle for each of my jobs. I have a water bottle in my car. And I always make sure I keep this thing full, cold, and ready to roll. And we had water delivered from Drink More Water, local water company here in Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
So we're always hydrated in this household. So, but it has been a great show. It is 2:11. We had
You
a
got
little.
three jobs, you see, man.
Yeah.
You got
Hey,
treat
Mom,
them,
got to work.
treat them.
How many
You got
jobs
treat them
you
job.
have? One job. But
I want
this
some
is
goat patties and some oxtail.
well, this has been Maryland Live at the Voice of College Football. I have been Charles Young along with the OG, Professor G, Mark Gray. Mark, tell the people when, where, and how they can follow you.
Wow. At the Sports Group, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, whatever. Just find me out there. Also, we still doing baseball season. So check out MLBbro.com. Just posted and getting ready for a second half of the season that should be pretty exciting, other than these parts, but that's a topic for another show. So check us out. We looking forward to college football season, man. This is going to be a fun ride. And then we'll talk a little bit later on about the Sure Shot.
That's true. It's a sure shot. And I am Charles Younger. You can follow me all social media at Charles Younger. That's CharlesNyonga. Like I said, Facebook, which I starting to hate a little bit more and more every day. But you got to put the work in. X, Blue Sky, Threads, TikTok, Snap, and MySpace. I'm on it. We're bringing it back, people. We're bringing back MySpace. So, like I said, this has been Maryland Live.
I'm waiting to see that. I really am. I cannot find you on MySpace, but then again, I can't find MySpace either.
All right, like I said, this has been Maryland Live on the Voice of College Football. We possibly won't be here next week, but we'll definitely be back in at least 2 weeks when it comes to bringing you the best news in college football. So stay tuned to us and our whole network here at the Voice of College Football Live. Deuces, ooses.
Deuces. 51 days. Wow. Something like
let's
that.
go.